Thank you. First, I have to observe how profoundly sad it is that we're here even talking about this. And January 6th was one of the saddest days in our country, that our magnificent Capitol is not open to the public, and we had an attack on the heart of our democracy. It just casts a pall over this whole discussion. Second point, part of, as I recall, the 9/11 Commission, one of their conclusions was that there was a failure of imagination. Security people had not thought about what could happen, the use of an airplane as a bomb. In this case, that the U.S. Capitol would be attacked. So I think part of the recommendation is not a specific one, but there should be red teams. There should be people in the Capitol Police who think the unthinkable, who think about what could happen in the mind of a malefactor, and it might be domestic terrorist or it might be an international terrorist. I mean, or some combination. So I hope that that's something that you can recommend. Again, it's not as specific as saying, okay, let's fix the Canine Corps or those things, but there should be a conscious and deliberate policy of trying to think the unthinkable and therefore be ready for it. Specific question, and I admit I haven't read all your reports in detail. I commend you for the work that you've done. I've been surprised there hasn't been more discussion of physical security. It's pretty easy to secure a building these days. Why do we have windows that can be broken on the first floor of the Capitol? Why don't we have an automated system that when a button is pushed, metal doors shut on all the entrances? Is that part of your analysis?
Not specifically, because those type of issues really almost fall under the architect of the Capitol. Any physical structure.
Yeah, but we're talking, here's another silo, Madam Chair. I mean, come on.
Exactly. But yeah, that would be outside of my authority to look at those kind of issues. Now, I know General Henry and his task force did look at and did make several recommendations on the physical security or the structural security, but those really fall in the realm of the architect, and that does not quite fit into my jurisdiction.
I hope, Madam Chair, that that's something we can look into, because that, if all the doors and windows had been sealed, we wouldn't have had a lot of the problem that we had. And there are ways. There's Lexan you can put in the windows that's virtually bulletproof, unbreakable. So I think that should be part of our analysis. Finally, with regard to intelligence, I leaned over to Senator Warner and said, is the total intelligence budget of the United States government classified? And neither of us are sure, so I'm not going to cite the number. But we spend tens of billions of dollars every year on intelligence. It bothers me that we're creating another intelligence bureau. I think there should be someone in the Capitol Police whose job it is to look out for the intelligence, but we don't need to start another intelligence examination. We've got the FBI, we've got the Department of Homeland Security, we've got enormous intelligence assets throughout the federal government. So I would hope that what we can talk about is the receipt of intelligence information, but not necessarily the creation of a new intelligence division. I mean, that's the problem in this case. For example, apparently there were indications that in the FBI system that there was danger that day, but it didn't get to the right level in the FBI, and it never got over to the Capitol Police. To me, it's a coordination issue rather than a collection of intelligence issues. Do you see what I mean?
Yes, sir, I do. This is not something that we are proponents that we would be actually going out and gathering the intelligence. We'd still be users of the intelligence. We're just elevating the ability to receive that intelligence and then be able to process it and get it to the rank and file and to the committee or committees or members of Congress. So we're not advocating that we actually become where we're out there actually gathering the intelligence. No, we're still users of it, but we have more ability where we have folks there. For instance, real quick, when our counter surveillance units, are out there and they receive information just by whatever they overhear or see, that we need to have basically an intelligence desk where them to report to our folks,
Right.
who can immediately then push it out to the rank and file so they get that information, what our folks are there. So they're not so much as just what they see and hear. So there's no active where they're searching or...
But I think, again, this is pressing beyond your jurisdiction, but there should be very vigorous discussions with the overall intelligence community, the Director of National Intelligence, to be sure the Capitol Police are part of their dispersal, their distribution of information. Again, the tragedy is to have intelligence, but it doesn't get to the people that need it. That may not be a failure of the Capitol Police. It may be a failure of some other agency, intelligence agency within the federal government. It's a question of coordination, and that we need our intelligence gathering agencies, which are very good, to be sure that that information is being shared with the appropriate entities, one of which is the Capitol Police. The best intelligence of the world is no good if the people that need it don't have it. So I appreciate your report. Thank you very much for your really diligent and excellent work on this. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator King. And then on with us remotely is Senator Ossoff.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Bolton, for your testimony.